Morning. Welcome to the podcast with Soul. You can follow me on Instagram at the podcast with Soul. You can follow me on YouTube at the podcast with Soul. And please go follow me on Spotify at the podcast with Soul. Right off the bat, let me qualify. Right off the bat, let me set the tone. I am not, and I never have been, for the last 7 weeks, in some studio, some air-conditioned studio, with a microphone in my face, receiving second-hand, third-hand, and fourth-hand information from beat reporters here at 500 Pearl Street, mimicking what I hear other outlets say. Me, personally, myself, I have been in the overflow courtroom, room 24B, every day of the trial, starting with Cassie's testimony. I've been here every day. I missed 3 days when I went to Tampa to do a podcast. Other than that, I've been here every day. I am a in the courtroom observer. You gotta understand that part. That's a big difference than reading the transcripts. That's a big difference from getting it from a beat reporter while you in the studio. It's a big difference from getting hearsay and what they say on this channel and what Sean G say and what they say on that channel and what they say on the news. Totally different. I am in the courtroom and I heard the actual testimony. Sean, Puffy Combs, Diddy, Love, whatever you want to call him. I call him Puff or Puffy. He is not guilty of RICO. He is not guilty of SEX trafficking. He is not guilty of forced labor. He is not guilty of SEX selling of the body. He is not guilty of bribery. He is not guilty of kidnapping. He is not guilty of the possession with the intent to distribute controlled substances. He is not guilty, and the jury must come back with a not guilty verdict. In this courtroom, 2 mistrials have been asked for. 2 mistrials by Alexandra Shapiro have been requested. 2 mistrials. 1 mistrial. What's up, man? Thank you, man.
I'm sorry to bother you, but did you see anyone naked here? Like there's a guy walking around naked?
I didn't see nobody naked, man. 1 mistrial for the prosecution inferring and implying that Puffy had the fingerprints and the DNA destroyed in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Police Department that would clear him of the arson. Alexandra Shapiro requested a mistrial. Alexandra Shapiro requested another mistrial at the removal of juror number 6. 6 weeks into the trial. 2 mistrials have been requested for prosecutorial misconduct. Perjury. Perjury is a crime punishable by imprisonment, I think, of 5 years. Cassie committed perjury in her civil suit. Mia got on the stand, committed perjury. Kid Cudi got on the stand, committed perjury. Capricorn Clark got on the stand, committed perjury. Briana Boglin got on the stand, committed perjury. Jane Doe got on the stand, committed perjury. Cassie sued him for $20 million. Dawn Richard got on the stand, committed perjury. She sued him for $6.45 million. Briana Boglin, $10 million. Mia, $10 million. Under Mark Agnifalo's closing argument, he stated that if you find any of the witnesses that you don't believe any of their testimony or a portion of what they say, you can throw all of that, you can disregard all of their testimony. If that's the case, Jane Doe testimony out the window. Cassie's testimony out the window. Victim 1 and victim 2, both of them perjured themselves. Capricorn Clark testimony out the window. Kid Cudi testimony out the window. Dawn Richard testimony out the window. Briana Boglin testimony out the window. You can totally disregard it. All of the government witnesses, every witness was the government's witness. Puffy didn't call any witness. He didn't have to. He didn't have to, because there is reasonable doubt all over this case. This case is full of reasonable doubt. I'm on my live.
Oh, okay.
This case is full of reasonable doubt. In order to come back for a guilty verdict, it has to be conclusive and beyond a reasonable doubt. For a RICO, an enterprise has to have been formed. What the government did, what the assistant U.S. attorneys did, what Damian Williams did, and this ain't no diss to Jay Clayton. Jay Clayton is the now new United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Jay, this ain't for you. You inherited this. Damian Williams, the Jamaican immigrant, brought this case against Puffy, who is a foundational Black American, as I am. But I know he was forced to. A RICO, a conspiracy, an enterprise has to be formed. for the sole and exclusive purpose to commit crimes and have a meeting of the minds that we are going to commit crimes and we are going to make money from these crimes. Bad Boy Records is a legitimate business. Sean John Clothing is a legitimate business. Ciroc Liquor is a legitimate business. Revolt TV was a legitimate business. Blue Wave Marketing was a legitimate business. This was not a criminal enterprise, and from none of the alleged offense that they say he didn't make any money from any of that activity. It must be not guilty. The predicate acts, 6 or 7 predicate acts that were listed by the Southern District of New York and Damian Williams, that the assistant U.S. attorneys came in to argue, when they were presented at trial, the witnesses that these predicate acts, kidnapping, arson, bribery, SCX trafficking, forced labor, the witnesses that came to testify to that fact lied on the stand. They told a lie. Yes, they did. They told a bunch of lies, and they perjured themselves on the stand. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, once you perjure yourself, it's over. It's over. You lied. I don't believe nothing else you say. You a liar. Ain't nothing else you can say to me to make me believe nothing you say. You lied about everything. Nothing that you say from this point going forward can be credible. The drug use, all they found was personal use drugs. 7 tablets of ecstasy, 0.7 grams of some ski, weed, personal use. And everybody who was involved in this case was a willing participant, was of adult age. They weren't forced to do anything against their will. This is all lies. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who can't even come with her real name, came under a fake name. Mia came under a fake name. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Cassie came, perjured herself. Jane Doe came, perjured herself. Victim 3 didn't even show up. Victim 3 said, I ain't coming. I'm not coming. No, 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 no. Victim 3 said, I ain't coming. I ain't coming down there. I ain't coming down there. I ain't answering no subpoenas. I ain't doing nothing. Yet, the Southern District of New York used her allegations to deny him bail, right? To violate his attorney-client privilege while he was at MDC Brooklyn, to go and shake his cell down and take pictures of his notes that he met with his attorney-client privilege, and his filter team violating his constitutional rights and his right to a fair trial, prosecutorial misconduct. Victim 5, where's she at? Where victim 5 at? Yo, victim 5. Victim 5. Where victim 5? Victim 3. They didn't even come. Victim 3, victim 5 said, man, I ain't coming down there. Never that. I ain't never coming down there. Don't call me. Don't send me no more letters. I ain't coming down there. I'm not coming. This is the case. Mia, under a fake name, met with prosecutors 31 times. Why do you gotta meet with the prosecutors 31 times? Shout out to Brian Steele. Brian Steele asked us, say, Mia, if that's your name, your fake ass name, fake profile, why did you meet with the government 27 times? Mia's answer on the stand under oath, she said out her mouth, so that we can understand my story. Good God Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, based on that fact alone, you must come back with a verdict of not guilty. Capricorn Clark, why did you meet with the government 13 times? You had a crush on Puff. Puff didn't want you. He was chilling with Cassie. You hated Cassie on the down low. You met with prosecutors 13 times. Lied about the kidnapping joint. Lied about the gun joint. Mia, let's go back to Mia with the fake profile, fake Mia. You telling Cassie to her grill, she your BFF. I don't know what that means. I'm from the old school, from the old New York, from the old school. BFF, best friends forever. Is that what that means? You telling Cassie, we best friends forever, but you letting Puff hit it too. Puff knocking you down and Puff knocking Cassie down. Both of y'all. You are a snake, Mia, and you fake. You wanted Cassie's spot too. Cassie, in your civil suit, paragraph 102, I think it's on page 19, you make an allegation that Puffy hung your friend over the balcony on the 17th floor at a hotel suite. You a liar too. Cassie, you a lie. And Cassie, you a rat. A man that helped you. A man that loved you. Yeah, y'all had problems. Every relationship got problems. Every marriage got problems. You sued him for $30 million, you got $20 million, and then you took the stand and testified against him so the feds could give him 30 years. And you lied in your civil suit and said that he hung your friend off the 17th floor balcony. You's a liar. Ladies and gentlemen on the jury, based on that lie, Puffy must be found not guilty. You also implied and inferred that he blew up Kid Cudi's car. Another lie. No fingerprints, no DNA, no video footage, no photos, no eyewitness ever putting Puffy at Kid Cudi's house, except for lying-ass Capricorn Clark, who wanted Puffy to hit that too. Puffy didn't want to hit that. He might have hit it like once or twice and said, yeah, it's all right, but I'm down with Cassie. You was hating on Cassie too. Oh, she not talented. You just wanted her spot. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, based on that fact, Puffy must be found not guilty. Cassie, I can't tell you how many text messages that they showed in court where you, under your own volition, under your own choice, text Puffy and say, I want to do a freak off. Do you want to do it tonight? Puffy say, yeah. Cassie, you say, all right, I'm going to set up the hotel room. I'm going to call the S. I'm going to do everything to set it up. You did that on your own. Cassie, on Valentine's Day, you set up under your own volition a surprise freak off. You set up a surprise freak off for you and Puff. You put the flowers on the bed in the shape of a heart. You have balloons. You got one of the assistants to help you set up the room. This was for Puff. He didn't set it up. You set it up. Cassie, you carried on sexual relations with some of the escorts when Puff wasn't around. You had a consensual sexual relationship with Kid Cudi for over a year. An NFL player. Briana Boglin, who is like that, lived in your house for over a year. She was your drug dealer, slept in the bed with you, and she's a lesbian. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you heard it. What's up, bro?
Man.
How you doing, man?
For years.
Thank you, man. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, based on these facts, Puffy must be found not guilty. I see you. Puffy must be found not guilty. Kid Cudi, you lied. You lied. You knew Puffy wanted to fight you head up. He wanted to fight you head up. Kid Cudi, you knew what it was, but you got on the stand and say you didn't know if he had a gun or not. And then y'all got into a chase in a cul-de-sac in Hollywood Hills and you lost them or they lost you. Some old story you told. And then Brian Steele dissed you on the stand and told you Cassie played you. He asked you. He said, Kid Cudi, Cassie played you, right? And it hit you in the chest. You folded up like that. You tried to play it cool, but he said it again. Brian said, Cassie played you, right? Female DNA found on your car. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there is absolutely zero evidence of Puffy being involved in the arson. A verdict of not guilty must be brought back.
A ja kiedyś tam na radiu pracowałem.
Jane Doe. Jane Doe. Jane Doe, this is what you do. Jane Doe. You sell kitty cat for a living. Jane Doe, Bear sent you $9,000. Took you on his private jet with his girlfriend to Los Angeles to do a freak off. And when you got to the freak off, coincidentally, Antoine is there. Somebody that been knocking you down for a minute. Even when Puffy ain't around, Jane Doe, you carried on consensual sex relations with Antoine, Cabral, Paul. They was all hitting it, whether Puff was there or Puff wasn't there. You went to Vegas, you got paid $9,000. You walk into the room, 7 or 8 of y'all, Antoine knocking the honey down on the bed, you lift up your shirt. The rapper tell you, I've been wanting to knock you down. They ask you, can you find somebody else? You bring up Cabral's name and ask Cabral, can he fly to Vegas to join y'all? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Jane Doe met with federal prosecutors 24 times. Based on that, Puffy must be found not guilty. The federal prosecutors knew Puffy's defense team gave the assistant U.S. attorneys in the Southern District of New York Puffy's itinerary in the month of September for 2016, and they knew that Puffy was in New York City on September 24th, September 25th, September 26th, September 27th, September 28th, and September 29th, staying at the Trump International Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. The prosecutors knew that, yet and still, they still put Briana Boglin on the stand to fabricate a story that Cassie put in a civil suit that she won $20 million from about the balcony incident. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you heard it, and based upon Briana Boglin's perjury, Puffy, you must come back with a verdict of not guilty. Briana Boglin, since Puffy hung her off of a balcony in Los Angeles on September 26, 2016, Briana Boglin said Cassie saw the whole thing. Briana Boglin on the stand said Puffy and Cassie had knife fights. They would throw knives at each other. This is the prosecution's witness. Reasonable doubt is everywhere, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Reasonable doubt is all over this case. Briana Boglin testified. Puffy came to Cassie's apartment, banging on the door. Brian Steele said, Nicole Westmoreland said, well, how did he get in the apartment? She said, I don't know how he got in. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you heard that. Nicole Westmoreland, well, what did he do when he came in? He came in, picked up a knife, threw the knife at Cassie, missed. Cassie ducked the knife, it fell. Cassie picked up the knife and threw the knife back at Puff. They used to have knife fights, plural. This is what Briana Boglin testified to on the stand on the 26th floor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you heard it. Assistant U.S. attorneys knew that story was a lie. Alexander Shapiro stood up and said, Your Honor, we gave them Puffy's itinerary. They knew that story was a lie, and they put that girl on the stand anyway to tell that story because Cassie had it in a civil suit. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in the 11 years Cassie was with Puff, not one 911 call, not one police report, not one domestic violence court date, not nothing. Not one police report in 11 years. Not one 911 call from Cassie or Jane Doe. Neither one of them. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, based upon that fact, Puffy must be found not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you saw and I saw several emails from Puffy to Cassie. You can leave. We don't gotta be in this relationship. Same thing to Jane Doe. I'm single. You can leave. You don't gotta keep dealing with me. Not one 911 call, not one police report for Jane Doe. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Puffy's sex life, however bizarre it may be to me or to the John Q public, that's his personal life. That's what he liked to do. His sex life is not business. That's not his business. I was watching these girls on CNN. I'm in the courtroom with the girl from CNN, the black girl from CNN, then another little white girl from Britain. They was talking about it yesterday. Laura Coates, it's her show, and she had the other girl from Britain on there, and Misty Maris, whatever the hell her name is. These are women. And they know me. All of them know me. Every reporter down here, they know me. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They know exactly who I am. The girl on the show last night, the girl from Britain, says, well, the jury needs to use common sense and think about their lives, their personal lives, and their sex lives, and base their opinion and decision of guilty or not guilty against Puffy based upon their own lives. And I said, man, could you hear this? Do you hear this nonsense? You, me, there's only a handful of people who could relate to being a billionaire with a private jet, with 9 or 10 of the baddest women in the world, unlimited resources, 6 or 7 businesses generating millions of dollars a day, worldwide fame, has done everything, has bought everything, has done every kind of sexual thing you could possibly do. And I'm gonna base my life, I'm gonna be on the jury and judge Puffy against my life as a YouTuber and an Instagrammer and a single father. I would be out of my mind to do that. Nobody can relate to this guy's life and his kind of money You just can't do it. But what we do know, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, his time at the hotel, his time with a woman having sex, and if he wanted to invite a male escort in and watch the dude knock down his old lady, that's his right. This is his personal life. This is his personal life. This is his personal life. This is not, he's not doing this at Bad Boy Records. This is his personal life. Jane Doe wanted to be with Puff. He didn't want to be with her. He told her up front, I got multiple women. Jane Doe moved from the East Coast to LA to be 30 minutes away from Puffy. She moved 30 minutes away from Puffy. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Puffy is still paying her rent. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Puffy is paying for her lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, even though she was 30 minutes away from Puffy, lived, he only saw her every 5 weeks or every couple months. And she understand, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, talking about my partner, my boyfriend. He wasn't your boyfriend, and you knew that because he told you that. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, based upon that, a verdict of not guilty must be brought back. The drug mule, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Brandon Paul, this was the drug mule. This was the thing that was going to tie the whole case together. They built it. Oh, next week, the drug mule is coming. In 3 days, the drug mule is coming. Brendan Paul, tomorrow, the drug mule is coming. The drug mule got on the stand and said out his mouth, I wasn't no drug mule. I was his assistant. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you heard that, and so did I. Because ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're in the main courtroom, and I'm 2 floors below in the overflow courtroom, but both of us hearing the same testimony in real time together. Brendan Paul said, I ain't no drug mule. And when they busted him on the plane, he had 0.7 grams of cocaine. 0.7, not even a whole gram. Not even a whole gram. And they charged him. The feds charged him and told him, we're going to see. Ain't no telling what they told him. Said, man, we're going to lock you up for 10 years unless you agree to testify against Puff. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Jane Doe, Briana Boglin, Dawn Richard, Capricorn Clark. The majority of the witnesses that came to testify against Puff were given immunity deals. And in conjunction with their immunity deals and juxtaposed to the immunity agreement, they were suing Puff for $10 million. Based upon that fact, and those facts, a verdict of not guilty must be brought back. Not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there's reasonable doubt everywhere. This was no criminal enterprise. This was no racketeering conspiracy. Puffy's defense team, shout out to Mark Agnifilo, Teddy Garagos, Xavier Donaldson, Jason Driscoll, Anna Esteveo, Alexander Shapiro, Nicole Westmoreland, Brian Steele, did a fabulous job. And they made the assistant U.S. attorneys, right, look like little league baseball players playing in a major league all-star game. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They were thoroughly outmatched. Mark Agnifilo, before he opened up his own practice, he was the head, the chief executive of the New Jersey U.S. Attorney's Office. He was over everything. So I don't know why they would think that they can beat him in a case. Teddy Garagos. Money. The assistant U.S. attorneys were thoroughly outmatched. It wasn't even a fair fight. It wasn't even a fair fight. If you needed to replace one of the U.S. attorneys that prosecuted Puff with a member of Puffy's defense team, any one of those lawyers that Puffy hired could step in and replace any 6 of those assistant U.S. attorneys. But not one of those assistant U.S. attorneys could step in and fill the shoes of any of Puffy's defense team. It wasn't even close. Nobody even cared. Under direct examination, after like the 3rd or 4th witness, people was in there like, where is the big case? Where is the gay videos that Puffy is gay? Where's the videos that Puffy with the little people, with the young people? Where is the evidence of that? Where is the evidence of this big celebrity freak-off party in a room, a big orgy? Where is that? Where is that? That's what I came for. I came down here, man. My specific purpose was to come down here to find out if Puffy was gay and to see if he messed with little people. It never came out. It never came out. And if the government had it, it would have came out. What came out, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what came out is that Puffy hired Harvard graduates, Harvard MBAs. He didn't even finish college. He hires Harvard and Yale MBAs to run his businesses, to make him millions of dollars, and he flies around on his private jet having sex with the most beautiful women in the world, like 9 or 10 of them. That's what he do. And he buy them diamond necklaces, he buy them diamond bracelets, he buys them Maybachs, he buys them Birkin bags, Christian Dior, whatever they want. Jaguars, I'll pay your rent. That's what he do. That's what he do. Yes, he do. Yes, he do. Yes, he do. Yes, he do. That's what came out. That's what came out. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, based upon what I'm telling you, my closing argument, Puffy must be found not guilty. You must come back with a verdict of not guilty. The prosecution failed, and they failed miserably in proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt. There was lies told. There was perjury. Everything that you can name that could go wrong in this case for the prosecution went wrong. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, don't be scared. Don't be scared to say, I don't know. I ain't got enough evidence. Don't be scared to stand on your square and say not guilty. Don't feel no pressure. Integrity ain't never went out of style. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, integrity ain't never went out of style. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're gonna have to live with the decision you make. If you send this man to prison for 30 years based on perjury, lies, prosecutorial misconduct, fake stories, it is going to cause you psychological discomfort for the rest of your life. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my question to you is, would you want somebody to do that to you? Would you want somebody to do that to you? To subvert justice, to misapply the law, to circumvent statutes and precedents, to overlook truth, to let lies prevail in your life? Would you like that? I know you wouldn't. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you come back with a guilty verdict, it will be a wrongful conviction. Puffy's constitutional rights have been violated, and his right to a fair trial has been abused by the Southern District of New York and the 6 assistant U.S. attorneys that prosecuted this case. The prosecution got to get in the sun. I got to get in the sun so y'all can see my pretty skin. I got to get in the sun so I get that vitamin D. I got to get in the sun joint. Check me out. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, during the voir dire process, each team, the defense team and the prosecution team, was given 9 peremptory strikes or 9 peremptory challenges. That means when the pool of jurors come, you can strike 9 of them, any 9 you want, and you don't have to give no reason. You get 9. The Southern District of New York and the 6 assistant U.S. attorneys used 7 of their 9. 82%. 82% of their strikes were for black jurors. They struck 7 black jurors for no reason. Right from the gate. Right from the door. Right from the door. Maria up in Canada, thank you, baby. Juror number 6. Some say he's Cuban, Some say he's Dominican, some say he was black. They struck him from the jury. Removed him from the jury after week 6. I was here that morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, so were you. The assistant U.S. attorney brought up the fact that they wanted juror number 6 removed. Judge Submarinian told him that morning, say no, let it go. I ain't removing them. Leave me alone with that. Stop sweating me about that. Stop jocking me about that. Stop asking me about that. Juror number 6 stays on the jury. Those are just little minor misstatements, things that we can reconcile. These were his exact words. I've met with him twice. These are innocent things. Later on that afternoon, about 4 o'clock, Judge Submarinian got the phone call and changed his mind. Said juror number 6 is being removed. Don't ask me nothing about why. He's out of here. Judge Submarinian, I think he was fair. I couldn't see any real clear bias for the prosecution or for the defense. I just don't think he has enough experience. He had enough experience for this type of case. He don't have enough heart. He ain't got enough balls to stand on his square because he's only 2 years on the bench. And if he don't stand up and dance to the music, he could be removed and his career could potentially be sabotaged. If this case was given to a senior judge, a more senior judge, 67 years old, 68 years old, that got 30 years on the bench, none of the buffoonery that the assistant U.S. attorneys did, none of the nonsense of the Southern District of New York, this case would have been declared a mistrial a long time ago. And a phone call would have been made to that judge, 67, 68 years old. He would have said, man, I don't care what you do. I'll retire. You don't tell me what to do. I'm not finna mess up my name and my reputation with this girl, Briana Boglin, getting on the stand, committing perjury in my court. Judge Submarinian didn't even admonish Briana Boglin for coming in his court and perjuring herself in his court, in his face, to his face. And that's on your resume for the rest of your life. Can't change it. We all saw it. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is not a trial about Astroglide. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is not a trial about baby oil. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I went and bought me some baby oil and Astroglide because I got to check it out now. I got to check it out. All they talk, I went and bought some Astroglide and baby oil because I got to see what it's like now. Now I want to see. Let me check. I got to use me some baby oil now. See how that feels. I went to Walgreens. Helicopter right there. I went to Walgreens and bought me some baby oil for $7.99. And then they had a big Astroglide for $18.99. Then they had the little joint for $7.99. I said, yo, let me get both of them. I ain't never did it before, but I'm finna try. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. With a female, with a honey, with a fly honey. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Puffy got me wanting to know now. Let me check this shit out right here. Let me see what's up with this. Yes, I am. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is not a trial about Astroglide, baby oil, or a domestic violence or assault. It's not about that. This is a RICO trial, and there is no racketeering conspiracy at all. And y'all must go and come back with a verdict of not guilty. You must come back with a verdict of not guilty. Don't be afraid. And if you are afraid, run towards your fear and do it anyway. Run towards your fear and do it anyway. Integrity ain't never went out of style. Live with yourself. When you brush your teeth in the morning, you got to look at you. And you got to be able to look in that mirror and say, man, I love you. I respect you. I fucks with you. You all right with me. I like hanging with you. I love you. You got to be able to say that. If you come back with a guilty verdict, I just can't see how you can do it. There's too much reasonable doubt. Too much reasonable doubt. All right, y'all. I'm sweating, it's hot. I'll be down here tomorrow for the jury instructions. I will be going live tomorrow. The jury gets their instructions tomorrow. I envision once the jury leaves the courtroom and begins to deliberate, I project that 4 of the jurors are going to stand up and say, look, before you give me any coffee, any bagels, I can't come. It's too much reasonable doubt for me. So ain't even no need for us to talk. And I ain't going to change my mind. Tomorrow, when them jurors go in that jury room, 4, 5, or 6 of them jurors gonna come right out from the gate. They gonna tell the jury foreman, say, look, man, I can't come to no decision, so ain't no sense in even us even being in here. It was too much perjury went on, too much lying went on, too much prosecutorial misconduct went on. I can't come to no decision. So go tell the judge it's a hung jury or not guilty. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Lindell Moore. Lindell Moore. Lindell Moore worked with Craig Mack. He worked with Puff. Puff may have been an unscrupulous businessman. He may have jerked people. He may have did all that. You may not like Puff, but that's not what he's on trial for. This man is looking at 30 years or life for nothing, for women that wanted to give him some. What man do you know got to take some kitty cat and he worth damn near $1 billion? I ain't got to take no kitty cat. And I ain't got, I'm in the red, I'm broke. Honey's wanting to give it to me for free. For me, Sean, baby, you can have it. I make the, you ain't, she said, Sean, all you got to do is ask for it. That's what she told me. She said, Sean, all you got to do is ask for it. I said, yeah, I know I do. But you know I ain't paying. You know I ain't paying. 4 or 5 of them jurors are gonna go in the jury room, and right from the gate, they're gonna say, look, it's over, man. Ain't nothing to talk about I'm not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, and ain't nothing you can say to me to make me come back guilty, to change my mind. And they gonna come back out with a not guilty verdict or a hung jury. One of the two. Sean G. Don't never stop. See, when you look like something, the honeys be on you. They be on you. I got the dope water, man. Look at my water. I got the dope water. My water better than your water. Everybody double tap the screen. Get this video a like. Wendell Morris, thank you for the super chat. My girl from Canada, thank you. Thank everybody that gave the super chat and the cash app that I didn't get a chance to see because I was so engrossed in my topic. I thank y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow morning early. I will be down here covering the trial. I don't know if I'll go in the courtroom because there's really nothing left for me to see. There's really nothing left to say. He's not guilty. Sean G, podcast was sold. Peace.